morning, campers. So I thought I had an editing solution arrived at, but it's the first video I attempted to edit together for the YouTube. Of course, immediately failed. Not immediately failed. It got to 98% and then failed over and over again all night. Still stuck on single take, apparently. At least until I get a little bit of time off with some good internet and get everything updated and set up the way we need it to be. We're getting really close to being back on the editable videos train again. It's a little bit windy out here, so I'm not going to be able to acknowledge the camera so much today. There's two people playing chicken in a race up to my rear bumper right now. I hate it when they do that. Yeah, okay, cool. The truck lost. What a surprise. There was a truck and a car going the exact same speed running up to my bumper, and the truck trying to get in the left lane to pass me, and the car just not yielding whatsoever. And it's like, that's the point where the truck should, I don't know, tap the brakes. But instead, no, the truck just kind of ran it out, got up to my bumper, and had to slow down and stay behind me while the car overtook. So he wound up going much slower than he necessarily had to. Mr. R&L that's passing us right now. If you're paying attention to what's going on in front of you, that sort of situation is pretty easy to avoid. Just, be aware when you're going to need to get in the left lane, moderate your speed so you can hit a gap before you get to the slower vehicle and get over it. It's not that hard. Even on Interstate 80 across Iowa, which is relatively high traffic. Not a ton, but not zero for sure. There's a Palmer truck going the other way. I wanted to wave, but this Reliable was in the way. But yeah, so thought I had an editing solution. Turned out, nope, not currently. It is not reliable enough, it turns out. That's fine. We can do the single take thing. I've got stuff I can talk about. I can just go on and on for minutes and minutes on various subjects. Like today, I'm going to talk about something that I get a lot of questions on. First, I want to make my opinions on lease operations very clear. Leasing a truck from the company that I drive for was the correct decision for me because of my financial situation, my terrible credit, my relationship to the company I drive for, and my work ethic. On the whole, leasing a truck from the company you drive for is not a good idea for the vast majority of people, especially companies other than Wilson. A lot of those companies take advantage of their lease drivers. They kind of string them along, barely making any money, as basically a free employee that they don't have to pay any benefits to. And then when that employee has been in it for long enough before they're able to complete the lease and potentially buy the truck out from under them, they run that employee into the ground, convince them to quit or change companies, and keep the truck and all the money that you paid into it. That's how lease operations work in like 99% of companies out here. So my advice, don't do it. I personally am fairly confident that Wilson is not one of those companies that does that sort of thing. It remains to be seen. I've had conflicting reports from other drivers. I know of at least one who was very bitter about the way their lease ended and ended up gone. And then I know a lot more that finished their leases, bought their trucks, and are still driving with the company today. So I tend to suspect that Wilson is on the up and up with the leasing division, and I'm making pretty good money right now, honestly. But that's a thing that I want to make very clear is I don't recommend lease purchase to anyone except for unless you're in the exact same situation as me and you never go home and are working for the same company that I am and have the same faith in them that I do. I certainly don't recommend it to anybody that's new at driving. The companies that talk rookies into leasing trucks are extremely, extremely unsavory. I think CR England is currently embroiled in a pretty gnarly lawsuit over convincing brand new drivers to lease trucks. They bring them in with the promise of letting them be a company driver, and then when they finish training, oh, no company trucks available. That sucks. You're either going to sit here making no money, or you can lease a truck and get out on the road now. So they're getting sued over that at the moment, and I think that progressed in some deal because I saw news coverage of it this week. But yeah, that's underhanded tactics right there. And then I believe Prime is currently in process with some kind of lawsuit for a lease operator alleging that they are not in fact an independent contractor but are an employee, and that Prime's considering them an independent contractor is misclassification. And that's going to be a big one if that gets all the way through, because our lease program is very heavily based on Primes, to the point where I think some of our lease people are like literally just former Prime employees. So if that comes to pass, that might have ramifications for the Wilson leasing program, but that remains to be seen. But yeah, so I definitely do not recommend leasing a truck. If you have the credit for it, just get your own truck. It's better in every way. If you can get any sort of business or vehicle loan and get your own truck and then get on with another company, separating out the people that you get the truck from the people that you drive for is a great idea, because that gives you more flexibility. If you end up with a company that doesn't treat you right, doesn't get you the freight you need, if you're leasing the truck from someone else, you can just take the truck somewhere. You can take the truck wherever you want at that point. So obviously, that's the right call if your financial situation allows you to do that. Otherwise, just be an employee. Be an employee. There's nothing wrong with being an employee driver. The pay kind of is a little bit low for what you do, especially at the start. But there's plenty of companies that do paid training, and they pay well enough. I personally don't think there's any world where standard truck pay is worth the amount of work you put in if you're an over-the-road driver. I mean, look at me. I mean, I spend 3 to 4 weeks on the road at a time, so I'm literally at work 24/7, and for only 40 cents a mile, which is what I worked for the first couple of years. When you think about the fact that you're just never going home, it's not really worth it. If you're only looking at the hours that you spend driving every day, the pay is great. But if you're looking at the fact that, you're at work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 3 or 4 weeks at a time, then the pay doesn't seem terribly worth it. So I don't recommend getting into trucking for anyone unless you, like me, will get more out of it. I enjoy the job. I enjoy the scenery. I enjoy the act of driving. I am a fan. I can take time off in the truck and not feel like I'm still at work. I mean, my number one leisure activity is playing video games, and I can do that in the truck just as well as I could at home. and I get the opportunity to see a lot more of the country, and I just enjoy the job. So if you're going to get more out of the job than just your paycheck, it can be great. It can be incredible. It's certainly good for me. But if you're just in it for the money, there's stuff you can do that doesn't take your entire life away, which trucking can do. I don't understand the people who get into trucking and spend 3 or 4 weeks out on the road. They have families back home. I don't get that at all. The ones I understand, there's husband-wife couples that drive, that both have a CDL, and they share the responsibility of operating the vehicle, and I think that's awesome. I get that. I haven't met any other human that I could bear to stand for that amount of time every day. But that's a personal failing, I think, not necessarily an indictment of the entire idea of husband-wife or husband-husband, wife-wife couples driving trucks together. I think that's incredible. Caught myself with a little bit of cis heteronormativity there. I know just as many gay couples that drive together as I do straight couples, so I don't know why my mind defaulted to husband-wife teams. I mean, I myself am a lesbian, so I have no idea why my brain goes to husband-wife teams. It makes no sense to me. No sense at all. But anyway, I'm getting passed by a school bus. Really? That's fine. It's fine. I think in the state of Montana, I don't think school buses are allowed to go over 55 miles an hour. But I guess in the state of Iowa, that is not the case. It's fine. It's fine. 11 minutes. Okay, I think I've talked long enough on this subject. Those buses are way too close together. That's dangerous driving. Those two school buses are right there. I don't drive the school bus. It is not my responsibility. I will not worry about it. And they appear to be empty. Yeah, they're empty. They're just transporting them. They don't have any logos or school districts on them whatsoever. No numbers. They are simply transport drivers. Explains why they drive like idiots. So yeah, that's my opinions on the whole idea of leasing a truck from your company and whatnot. I don't think it's a good idea for most people. It's a good idea if it's working out for me. I'm not recommending it to anyone. Aggressive rumble strip on this road. I'm getting passed a lot, so I'm kind of keeping my distance from the people in the left lane, especially in his Volvo, because he's probably a little bit mad at me. Because he got stuck behind me for a couple miles there by passing traffic, overtaking both of us at the same time. It's fine, we're good now. He's in front of me. Problem solved. Crisis averted. But yeah, so that's where we are on that subject. No, I don't think you should lease a truck. is where we are. If you do go into the trucking business, I do highly recommend Wilson Logistics. I am a product of our training program, and I think it's gone very well for me. This is the best job I have ever held. Again, I love this job, and I think it's fantastic. So if you are going to get into the trucking industry, I strongly encourage you to try Wilson. Our training program is excellent. It is small class sizes, and you get pretty decent pay right out of the starting gate. So go for it if you are getting into it. Be really careful. There's a lot of trucking companies out there that like to take advantage of new students. So use extreme caution if you are getting into this industry. And do not lease a truck until you have experience and can decide that is the right choice for you. I'm going to just hammer that again. I drove for 2.5 years before I leased this truck. And I'm still not 100% sure it was the right decision at the time, though it's working out for me. Probably would have been smarter to wait till after winter to do that, but whatever. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.